Are you serious? Are you serious? Well, that's what everyone wants to know. And actually, folks, as we're going live right now, 1 hour from now, the United States Supreme Court, as Justice Alito moved the date up a day to, you have to settle disputes. And the dispute is over the Pennsylvania mail-in ballots. And in 1 hour, Ted Cruz, a senator from Texas, will be arguing on behalf of the Trump administration that Pennsylvania took advantage and did not allow oversight and all that. So he's going to be the guy trying to make that happen. Of course, Cruz is 11-0 when arguing in front of the Supreme Court, and he also is the national champion debater in college. While that's going on, of course, the state of Texas has filed lawsuits against Georgia, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. All of them, they say, took advantage of federal and state election laws and unlawfully made last-minute changes to their constitutions to skew the results of the election. We also want to know, that's going to make its way to the Supreme Court, I'm sure. And also what we want to know is if there's a Biden administration, what does that mean for the stock market, which is right now at an all-time high, over 30,000 points? And what do the taxes look like under a Biden administration? What about gold? What about Bitcoin? What does it mean as we turn the corner into 2021? We need an expert. We need somebody who's got some results. And I'm going to tell you something. He's on fire. His people are doing so well over there. We've actually got testimonies of folks that are just in the last 2 days that are making a lot of money. So let's bring him in right now. This is Bob Kudla from TradeGeniusAcademy.com. That's www.TradeGeniusAcademy.com. Bob, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Paul. How are you?
I'm doing great. And, you know, we're turning the corner here. So what does 2021 look like? I mean, what does it look like?
Well, you know, it's going to be a big week in the Supreme Court. I know in your monologue, the state of the Supreme Court has docketed that case from Texas. That means they're going to hear it. So that case has been accepted to be heard. And that's a very important case because that's the crux of President Trump's argument. And reason why it's important that Texas sued the other states is because, you know, it gives standing to the argument that these states have defrauded the population of the United States. It's not just a states issue. It's a federal issue. And, you know, one of the remedies that could come from this is that the national election is federalized in the extent that there's standard rules and regulations, you know, across states and counties on how to conduct a presidential election. And, you know, so you don't get all this crazy stuff that's been happening and basically the winging it that they've been doing in these swing states. So it's going to be really interesting to hear. I'm not sure exactly when that case will be heard, but it was officially docketed today, which means it was put on the calendar for the Supreme Court to hear. Now, what Senator Cruz is going to talk about is similar to what the state is talking about, is that the state of Pennsylvania exceeded its constitutional authority by not engaging with the legislature prior to making rules and orders to change the election law of the state of Pennsylvania, and basically saying that those votes need to be invalidated because they were never approved in the first place. The state of Pennsylvania, if they even come back for a remedy, would say, you know, of course they said, well, we're you know, suppressing a vote. And then the Trump administration said, but by whom? Who voted? Or who would not have voted? To force the state of Pennsylvania to show who are these people. And that's the last thing the state wants to show, because I don't think they have the names. I don't think they can validate who these people are. So it's a really big week. And, from our perspective at Trade Genius, I can't control any of this. I'm just an interested, bystander. I'm, an activist in a way, because I want President Trump to win. But we have to be prepared for him not to win and for the Biden administration to win. And I think the market is also taking that tack. It seems to be quite calm in the midst of this activity. And what my personal view is that people are trying to run this thing up, ring the bell before 2021 takes over, and there's potential tax law changes that can affect any capital gains in the next year. And God knows what crazy regulations are going to come out of it, under a Biden administration. So I think that's what's pushing the market up higher. And also, too, I think there's a recognition, regardless of who becomes president, that a lot of money is going to have to be spent that we don't have, which is dilutive to the value of the dollar. And then also that would be that would strengthen the commodities. And if you noticed, and it's not just a U.S. thing, it's a worldwide thing now, Paul, it's quote unquote the Great Reset, is that you're seeing steel, copper, uranium, platinum, palladium, gold, silver, all moving higher, and in anticipation of this tsunami of fiat currencies that's going to come, into our midst in 2021, 2022. And also, to finish my monologue, is that I think that's what's been supporting Bitcoin to a bit, because of the also the recognition that they may try to reach for these digital currencies, which would lock people into the banking system, and people are trying to get out in front of that so that they can hold assets that aren't going to be subject to the bankers, and their desire to steal more of our assets for, their personal gains.
So, of course, folks, this is Bob Kudla with us today from TradeGeniusAcademy.com. And I think that your observation of, first of all, the court appearance that's going to take place by Ted Cruz at the Supreme Court, and along with the Trump's legal team. First of all, prayers going out to Rudolph Giuliani, who is the head of that legal team, who now has COVID and is in the hospital. So prayers going out to him. And actually, I even got an email. They're asking everybody. President Trump is asking everyone to pray at 5 p.m. because his court case is going before the Supreme Court. So it's wonderful that the president wants prayer, and so we're certainly going to do that. Brock just showing us that gold prices at $1,877 an ounce right now, which certainly is a lot higher than it was when the year started. Silver's at $24.70. That's up quite a bit as well. And Bitcoin's off the charts at $18,689. I think it was around 3,500 when the year started. And the Dow is over 30,100 points, the highest of all time. So your point is, I know the precious metals is different than the market, but the market's being pushed up heavy. They got to make as much cash as they can off of it, because next year's earnings could end up being taxed heavier under a Biden administration potentially. But how is it that the precious metals are going up the same time the stock market's going up? How's that work?
So there's three types of commodities out there, Paul. I would call energy related, which is economic, focus, like oil, gas, gasoline. Those producers that and support industries. Then there's the industrial metals, which are really moving in anticipation of massive stimulus spending in 2021, 2022, not just in the U.S., but in Europe and China, Japan, elsewhere. And then the third component is the precious metals. Now, they operate differently. They look at a couple different things. People just automatically assume dollar down, or gold up, dollar up, gold, silver down. It doesn't work quite that easily. It looks at the the 10-year rate of interest, because that's competition for gold. And then, it's also looking at what's called the real rate of inflation. So those are the three things and what's been kind of holding gold and silver back a little bit is that they're expecting the rate of growth to exceed inflation next year because, quote unquote, the vaccine. And then also the 10-year was pushing back up towards 1%. Now, as those things roll back down, as both will, because the vaccine is not coming out as fast as people will say, and they're going to keep people in lockdown, I think through most of 2021. And you're going to have the 10-year falling as well. And then you're going to have all this spending they're going to try to do, to keep people alive. And then that's going to support gold and silver. And you're going to see those breaking out. So, and we're in a season now for it between now and the end of the year. And then in the first part of next year, you also get a seasonal push in gold and silver as well. But the miners aren't waiting. The miners are already moving. And if you notice, uranium and platinum are really pushing hard. And when you talked about those testimonials that in your monologue for your listeners' benefit, is that we positioned for platinum and we positioned for uranium, and we also positioned for the agricultural chemicals like companies like Mosaic, and we were ready for those trades. So when you say, if you show those testimonials to people, we see
we're showing
20%, 30% up 9,000, is that we had people in those trades waiting for those moves, because one of the things that we see, with our algorithm is we see the buying pressure coming in, and then we just go ahead and we just take advantage of everybody else finding that trade as or after we are, and we just ride those trades. And so now we're in rinse and repeat mode with those, but gold and silver now are starting to move. We had a nice move in silver last 2 days, and once those take off, all the silver miners are starting to move, and we're in those now too. So it's just like surfing. We just keep trying to hop on the right waves that are getting buying pressure. And today, we got in on last 2 days, got in on 3 of the EV companies, which are the electric vehicles. So we got into a charging company called Blink. That's up nicely the last 2 days. We're in BLDP. That's up nicely today. And so, we're trying to stay ahead of where we think this hockey puck is going. And those themes, all the things I just mentioned you, Paul, all of them are going to be valid in 2021. Because if they're not, the stock market will crash horrifically. So this is the dance and the juggle that the central banks and the politicians have put themselves in, and in essence put us in as well. So they're going to opt to a 70s style stagflation over a 30s style deflation. And I think that's the game they're going to play. They're going to spend $4 to $6 trillion next year, Paul, regardless if it's Trump or Biden. Trump will just enjoy it more.
That means, and I'm reading right here from CNN. There was a report came out 2 hours ago. It says, heading into 2021, investors are optimistic about the stimulus from the incoming Joe Biden administration and more help from Federal Reserve. That's just like you said, more keeping interest rates low, and quantum easing probably still going on as well. Also, relief as COVID-19 vaccines are administered to millions, most hopefully a return to some kind of normal. So they're optimistic because they know even if companies are not making profits, there's so much free money going to be poured into this economy, the most ever in history. It's going to keep everything afloat at least the next 12 to 18 months. And then maybe they'll have to, so at some point, you got to let something settle. And because it's being artificially flooded with fiat money, there's going to gold, silver, all the precious metals, Bitcoin are going to stay up high because they're still the security blanket. Is that exact? I think. And let's see those testimonies again, because Bob, these are incredible. And Brock, you put them up there again for us, because I like what this guy says over there. He says, man, I'm up again today. $9,000 since our first of 2 meetings. This is amazing. Then he says, awesome. I scalped $139. Then he says, well, I'm in the red on 15, but then he goes down and says, it's getting thick in here. This is just in a matter of minutes. And then he says, I'm up $1,000 today. I'm so stoked. I found your system. It's incredible. Is this, I'm going to ask you, Bob, is this a guy who's already traded, been a trader for a while and just finally got in, or is he kind of new to the game?
6 months ago, he sold his coffee company, and he heard one of our shows and called in and said, I don't want to go work. He's an older gentleman in the mid-50s, and he said, I don't want to go back to work again. I have to see if I can make this work. And then he asked me how fast it would take him. And I said, it'll take you 3 to 4 months to get proficient. And in 3 to 4 years, you're going to be in good shape. And he's been with us 6 months, and he's been really consistently making money now. And every day he gets on there and he just, he sings the praises. And he's trading stuff now that just using the system, he's not necessarily trading everything that I'm putting out there, which is my goal. We're not gurus here, it's a system that works. It's not Bob genius, it's trade genius. So it's a really good system. And once you figure it out, you have a tool for life. And I mean, he's ecstatic, but he's not the only one. There's another guy, he just couldn't print it out. He sent his whole portfolio over to me. I told me, don't do that. But he was with me 60 days. He's out of Vancouver, Canada. He still works. He's up 64% just following my trade. So,
wow.
So it's definitely possible. And I just want to be clear with everybody. We're not gurus, not Lambo people. These are just solid trades. If you're serious about trading, and you can give it the effort, you can make the money. And these guys started small, and work their way up the trades. And some of these are day trades and some of these are swing trades. So, the more you trade and trade the right things, the more money you can make, but it's also more time. And, the other guy that was been posting on there, those guys are all, one guy said, I've been trading on my own and I've just been making a mess of it. And it's so nice that you put me into a system that works. And, these things make me feel really good, because it is the system, and we know it works because I've been doing this forever. So, but thank you for sharing that. I think it's important for people to see that it's possible, but it's not just show up and the money's going to come your way. You got to put the effort in.
Bob Kudla, folks, he says it's trade genius, but believe me, he is also Bob genius. Don't think he's not. And you can pick up the phone and call Bob or one of his associates at 800-949-1408. That's 1-800-949-1408. And he's running a Cyber Monday deal of the month. Is that right? Or a holiday special?
I don't know if they changed it, but yeah, the deals run till Saturday. So they might have just left Cyber Monday up there. So take advantage of it by Saturday. We pre-discount it, everything for the Christmas holidays. But you need to go and take advantage of it by Saturday if you want those deals that are the current prices up there.
So there you go, folks. And again, you don't have to have been. Here's a guy who sells a coffee company who says, look, I would like to get involved in this and learn the system and starts operating it, and is willing to follow the lead that the system gives him, that Bob has created there. And at the same time, he's learning how to think on his own, and he's making a few trades on his own outside of that, which is, like Bob said, is what he wants him to understand. Now, we got to talk about this. We're talking about Ted Cruz. Again, those of you just joining us, Ted Cruz going before the Supreme Court on behalf of the President of the United States and his attorneys to argue the case in Pennsylvania that they exploited, that Pennsylvania took advantage of the COVID situation and changed the laws there to where they could do massive mail-in balloting. That's one thing, but then they wouldn't let the Republicans witness the counting of that. But the other states, Texas, Ken Paxton, the Texas Attorney General has filed a lawsuit against the state of Georgia and Michigan and Pennsylvania and Wisconsin. And he's saying, you guys have cheated us out of our vote by changing your laws. You've exploited the COVID-19 pandemic to justify ignoring federal and state election laws, and unlawfully last-minute changes has skewed this results of this election. This is the big one. So I think even if the Cruz one that goes in with Pennsylvania, no matter how that one goes, the bottom line is the Texas suit. That's the game changer. Is that right, Bob?
Yeah, because it builds upon the Ted Cruz conversation. Look, what's at stake here? It's really less about Trump, and it's more about the future. If the Democrats can rewrite rules as they see fit going into an election, and then take those election results and then rewrite the Constitution, we no longer have a republic.
Right.
We basically would have a series of judges that are handpicked, by a supermajority that was artificially created to destroy every check and balance in the country. And I have a hard time seeing that the Supreme Court is going to let that pass, and that depends on the Georgia vote, into the future, because basically what Chuck Schumer is promising us is that they'll quickly go ahead and add states that are Democrat friendly out of these provinces or these territories, and then turn around and add as many judges as they think are necessary to basically rewrite every and any rule in the country. Think about it. If you're the Supreme Court justice, you can literally declare free speech is unconstitutional, that being a Christian is a hate group. Legally do it. And I think that is so antithetical to the way on which our country has been founded and ran for 200 and almost 50 years, that I think the Supreme Court's going to take a dim view of what these people have done. And so it's really important. And if it does happen that way, it's going to be 2021 will be, don't worry about taxes. It's going to be far more serious than that.
What a great point. Bob Kudla here, TradeGeniusAcademy.com. That's www.tradegeniusacademy.com. The real point is, I think what the Supreme Court may do, forget about Trump for a minute. That's a good point. It's about the future of the republic. And, even if they rule that Biden's going to get to stay in, but we're going to rule that there has to be a federal system that gives confidence back to the country. If they don't do something to restore confidence to the voting process, then we're done. And as you said, the fallout could be the rewriting of the whole Constitution by adding all the different justices and rewriting the whole thing. So this is huge. I think here we are, almost, like you said, 240, almost 250 years into this great republic, the greatest nation on earth. And it seems like we might be on the line here. I think we're just going to have to wait and see. But in the meantime, as you've said, prepare for the worst, hope for the best. And the way to do that is to really get educated in what's going on as it relates to your retirement, your funding, your livelihood. And so, Bob, again, I love these great testimonials. And they're not the only ones, are they? I mean, people are learning from your system what to watch for. Energy stocks, do you still watch the weather? And because we had the locusts and we've had the monsoons, and is that affecting energy and grain and the stocks in those areas?
Yeah, I mean, look, that's why we bought the ag chem companies. Your listeners, check out Mosaic, check out ICL, check out IPI, check out NTR. These are the companies that make the fertilizer that goes on the ground. They have to start pumping fertilizer in because the growing seasons are shortening and they're wetter. So it takes longer for the crops to get started. So they got to it's kind of like steroids for grains. So they just got to dump this stuff on there. and uranium, because a lot of these countries now aren't going to be able to trade for oil because their economies are collapsing. So they're all building nuke plants. And so Kazakhstan and Ukraine and that part of the world, it has a stranglehold on both of those commodities, and they're either unable or unwilling to increase production. So that means those prices are skyrocketing, and it's just going to be tremendous opportunities for traders like us to be able to be in the front end of it. And we've seen this before. We've seen this movie before. So gold, silver, uranium, all this stuff is setting up like it did in the early 2000s. The tech market sold off, and these commodities took off. Energy, uranium, gold, silver, platinum, palladium. We're seeing a repeat of the same type of situation where the tech stocks are starting to wobble here a little bit, Paul, and people are going to roll right over into these commodity names. And these moves aren't like one day kind of wonders. These moves are 9 months to 3 years in terms of duration. So, even though they're going to the EV or the electric future, price of oil is going up because it's getting more expensive to find oil in the ground, and we have potential regulation coming up to prevent more production here in the United States under a Biden administration. So these are tremendous opportunities, and and take advantage of them. And I used to tell people, look, we're in the lemonade business. If they throw us lemons, we turn them into lemonade. So it doesn't really matter what the market does. The market rolls over. There are plenty of things in which we could trade that you can make money in a down market. It's harder, but you can do it. And there's some themes showing up. Look, you don't want to be owning commercial real estate next year, okay? So there's going to be opportunities to be shorting there. You're not going to want to own mall space. So, there are opportunities to short certain companies, certain mall operators, certain industry groups that are going to suffer, and the banking system is going to struggle too. So we've seen how things reacted in 2008, but we've also seen how things reacted in 1973 and 1974, and those are the models you have to look at. And as soon as we get the buy signals, we just simply buy. See trade, take trade.
Bob, also, let me just throw out there, recently in the news, Elon Musk, Tesla, I see that Musk has been rising as far as his net worth. I think he's number 4 or 3 in the world. He's about ready he went past Warren Buffett. I think he's going to pass Zuckerberg. Is Tesla, are they performing that well? And is it all about SpaceX? What's going on there?
Well, Tesla makes no money, so it's an anomaly. It's a conundrum. But when you're in a market like this, it's really all about belief. And so Tesla one day will wake up and we'll find out that it's going to be down by 40 or 50%. The scary thing about Tesla is going into the S&P 500 in less than 2 weeks. So if Tesla starts to roll over, it brings all the averages down because it's such a large component. I think they made a mistake adding them there. Now, that's Tesla. So Elon Musk, though, is disrupting a lot of industries. And so one thing that people aren't paying attention to yet is he's putting all those satellites up that are going to be for internet around the world. He's going to basically be able to bypass a lot of these bottlenecks, like Comcast and DirecTV and AT&T and whoever else is out there, because his internet will be faster and it'll be cheaper, and he doesn't have the political axe to grind. A lot of those companies are owned by progressives that want to basically censor. Musk is not that kind of guy. He's been very critical of the whole COVID mess, and so he's going to be able to disrupt another industry, which is huge. And so keep an eye on that. Don't buy Tesla. If I give anybody any word of advice, it is obscenely overvalued. They can't make money on a single car. It's being valued as a battery maker, okay? And and there's going to be enough competition for batteries out there in the future.
So the Tesla car itself is a good car, but don't buy Tesla stock. It's overvalued, is what I'm hearing you say. And
Volkswagen, Tesla's worth like 5 times Volkswagen, and Volkswagen's coming out with an electric vehicle next year. They're the largest car maker in the world. So how is Tesla going to hold value against, a company that could distribute cars around the world at a lower price point? So it was a nice idea, first mover advantage, but it's all part of this excess bullishness that we have in the market right now. And there's a game going on with the market. Maybe next month we could talk about it, in which they are able, with all these Robinhood call buyers, they're able to kind of lift companies well beyond their value short term by using these derivatives. And if you remember 1987, you and I are probably old enough to remember these things, is that there was a different form of derivatives that caused the 1987 crash. So right now we have record call volume, record ever in the history of the market. And if that call buying dries up, the market makers have to short the market, okay? They no longer have to buy the market to balance their books. So you literally can wake up with a whoosh. So that's why we're always telling people, look, if you're in indexes or you're not, like I'm day trading, swing trading, I'm in and out all the time. But people that are having their money professionally managed, you got to start asking these hard questions of your financial advisor as to what's their plan. Are they taking some off the top? 30,000. We're going into a recession. We may not get the stimulus. The election may be contested. What's your plan? How are you going to get out before everybody else? And those are the things that you guys need to ask. If your money is professionally managed. I'm a trader, so if I wanted to, I could be out of 90% of my positions or when I get off the phone with you in the aftermarket, okay? You can't do that if you have your money professionally managed. It'll take them forever to get you out, or at least get you next day before you say, hey, pull all my money out. I want to go to cash, okay? So these are things these are the kind of conversations that need to happen because we have no idea how people are going to react to this. Let's say Trump wins. How many cities are going to burn down? You know what I'm saying? If Trump loses and they win the Senate, the Democrats, well, what is that going to mean to the country? These aren't like, hey, a law here or there is going to change. We have people that want to fundamentally change the country, and you need to be smart about your money and how you're going to deal with it.
Bob Kudla, folks, TradeGeniusAcademy.com. Again, you can call him at 1-800-949-1408. That's 1-800-949-1408. Bob's a good Christian. He's real honest with people. And what he's doing is setting up a system and training you to be able to manage your own destiny. No matter what the financial climate is like, no matter what they throw at you, you'll have the system to make the right moves, and Bob will be there to help guide you, to give you that opportunity and that choice. And I think overall, and to your point, Bob, when you have all your money in a 401k and somebody else out there is managing it, they're just throwing it into these places. They're not looking out for what's going to happen. They're just going to come back to you next year to renew at your job and say, here's what happened. You lost 14%. It was a bad year. No, they're not. They're not going to get out ahead of this thing and make some moves for you. Those are the things you can do if you are on your own, and this system will help you get it. So again, check out TradeGeniusAcademy.com. That's www.TradeGeniusAcademy.com. And Bob Kudla he's the man behind the plan. He can help you do it. Bob, thank you so much for being with us today. We appreciate it. And I hope you and your family have a wonderful holidays this year. Merry Christmas to you. And let's hope that 2021 is a better and more healthier year than what we've had this year.
Yeah, hey, thanks, Paul. And I just want to make one thing clear, too. I'm not necessarily suggesting people sell their 401ks and go trade with Trade Genius. I'm suggesting that if you want to trade, we're here to help you. But if you're professionally managed, make sure you start asking the hard questions. And I'll leave you with one final thought. All this may not matter, Paul, because apparently there are aliens waiting to meet with us.
And with that, folks, we'll see you next month again right here. And I'll be back later tonight, actually, with a Bible study with Heidi. And I will be talking to you about this Christmas season. And we're going to be talking about the animals that were in the manger, as well as the animals that are in God's plan, as we're covering this Christmas season for the 5 weeks Bible study. Last week was the angels. This week is the animals. And then we'll be talking about the gifts that the wise men brought next Tuesday night. So God bless all of you. Thank you, guys.